Here's more wrestling news for March 2nd, 2023, and we're starting off with WWE NXT, as it was in December that Dragon Lee announced that he had signed with the promotion moments after winning the AAA World Tag Team titles. Since then, fans haven't seen Dragon Lee in the ring or on NXT programming, but that could all change soon enough. As of late, Grayson Waller has had his issues with NXT head Shawn Michaels, and the two-time Hall of Famer will be a guest on the Grayson Waller Effect at next week's NXT Roadblock event. When Waller took to Twitter to express his excitement for the segment, this got a response by Dragon Lee, who simply told Waller, "You talk too much." It's been over a decade since Shawn Michaels was a full-time WWE superstar, and it's entirely possible that HBK could bring in Dragon Lee to deal with Waller and his cocky attitude. We'll have to wait until NXT Roadblock next week to know for certain, but are you liking the feud with Waller and Michaels? And would you like to see Dragon Lee debut next week? When you see MVP on WWE TV, the former US champion is usually decked in bling and has never been afraid to show his wealth off. On this week's Raw, MVP suffered an unfortunate incident at the hands of Brock Lesnar, and MVP's pride wasn't the only thing that was damaged. During the segment, Lesnar accepted the challenge to face MVP's client Omos at WrestleMania 39, and when Lesnar forced him to drink some White Lightning, MVP spat the beverage out, soaking Lesnar and earning himself an F5. On Twitter, MVP said that he lost one of his new diamond earrings taking the move and asked if anyone wanted to donate to a fund to buy him a replacement set. MVP later added that fans should spare a few $1,000s for him to replace his earrings, though we doubt that the WWE Universe, which does donate to worthy and important causes, will be lining up to buy MVP some new bling. On the February 15th episode of AEW Dynamite, MJF brought Christopher Daniels to the ring to run down Bryan Danielson, but instead was told that Danielson is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. The irate MJF would respond by locking Danielson in the Salt of the Earth armbar until his Revolution 2023 opponent made the save, but this reportedly wasn't the original idea. Speaking to PW Mania, Daniels said that the original plan called for a different person from Bryan's past, and that he was a last-minute replacement after those plans fell through. It was a bit of a surprise. That wasn't the original idea. There was an idea to do something with someone else from Bryan's past. At the 11th hour, it all fell through, and we were in Laredo and scrambled for a backup plan. I remember speaking with MJF and Jerry Lynn, and I told them I've known Bryan since 2001, so I could help out. Once I threw that suggestion out, we kicked the idea around. Max and I took an opportunity to go back and forth about what my relationship with Bryan was and how we would steer this particular segment. I was really happy. I'm always happy to contribute to the on-screen product. This weekend, Danielson looks to end MJF's reign as AEW World Champion in the company's first 60-minute Iron Man match, and as for Christopher Daniels, he's just pleased he was able to help out when AEW needed to build this feud. We've got some news from MLW now, as Mance Warner is out of the Slammer 1 week after hitting Enzo Amore with his car. On social media, Warner was delighted to inform fans that he is a free man and met up with Second Gear Crew stable members Matthew Justice and one called Manders. Talking to the pair, Warner implied that it had been the two who had bailed him out and spoke about hitting Enzo, now known as Real One, with his car, saying he had it coming. Warner's kayfabe arrest came after he hit Amore with a car during last week's MLW Underground and made no attempt to hide his identity after the assault. Mance doesn't appear to be slowing down either, telling the Second Gear Crew now that he's out of prison, they should all head over to MLW and fight as soon as possible. So expect the feud with Enzo to only get uglier from here. Mercedes Mone has had an interesting time over the past year, and this week, the New Japan Pro Wrestling star made her presence felt on the red carpet. For the arrival of Season 3 of The Mandalorian, Mone attended the premiere and even brought her newly won IWGP Women's Championship with her for the event. Mone was in the show's second season, where she played the character Koska Reeves, and despite leaving WWE, it's clear that Mercedes Mone's star power in acting is only continuing to grow. Over the 5 years of his WWE career, Sami Zayn was a heel on TV, but the actions of the man away from the ring are anything but villainous. Fans of Zayn will be aware of his Sammy for Syria campaign, which has allowed him to set up a mobile medical clinic that travels from camp to camp and delivers immediate medical care free of charge to displaced civilians. Speaking on Busted Open Radio this week, fellow WWE philanthropist Titus O'Neil spoke about Sami's charitable work and said that at first, Zayn thought it would negatively affect his career. Sami Zayn is one of the hottest things in pro wrestling and has been for several months. I remember Sami calling me and going, "Hey man, I want to run something by you." This is when he wanted to do his project in Syria. Do you think I would get any heat? He ran it by me, explained everything, and asked, "Do you think I would get any heat for doing so?" I said, if anybody gives you heat for trying to do something that makes a significant and positive change for something you believe in, then you don't need to be working at this company. I've always felt that way. If you don't believe what I'm doing to help other people, not only in conjunction with our WWE community team, but separately from that, then this isn't going to be the place to work for me. Like Zayn, Titus also does a lot of fundraising and charitable work, though in Tampa rather than Syria, and we can only hope that Zayn's recent surge in popularity and his charitable work will inspire others to do what they can to help those less fortunate. Sami Zayn arrived on WWE programming as part of NXT in 2013, but the former honorary Uce had been wrestling long before that. On Twitter this week, Zayn celebrated reaching his 21st anniversary as a pro wrestler and thanked everyone who has come along for the ride, and we are excited to see what he does with the next year of his career. Over to NXT now, as in October, Quincy Elliott went down with an injury, but the self-professed super diva is now back in the ring. PW Insider reports that Elliott made their return to action during the February 28th Level Up taping, where they faced off against Scripts, and after a lot of hype last year, hopefully Elliott can keep injury-free from now on. Since returning to WWE in 2016, Bill Goldberg has had a handful of matches for the company each year, his most recent of which came in early 2022. This week, the former World Heavyweight Champion sat down with Sports Illustrated and when discussing a possible retirement match, said that it is something that WWE, quote, owes me. Goldberg even added that he has some ideas for what he wants his last match to be, but who do you think the legend should end his career with? Or would you rather not see him back in the ring at all? Last year, Jim Ross made some pretty strong comments about John Laurinaitis, even saying that he deserves the goddamn misery that he's living after being fired from WWE over the Vince McMahon scandal. It was Laurinaitis who replaced Ross as head of talent over 20 years ago, but this week, JR said that he and Big Johnny have buried the hatchet. On Grilling JR, Ross said that he recently bumped into Laurinaitis and hopes he lands on his feet, and it is impressive that the two were able to settle their differences, something that countless veterans of wrestling seem unable to do. And we're ending today with William Regal, who returned to WWE earlier this year after an exciting, albeit brief, run with AEW. As part of his agreement with AEW, Regal cannot appear on WWE TV for an entire year, but is now being kept plenty busy working backstage again in WWE as a vice president. PW Insider reports that Regal, under his role as Vice President of Global Talent Development, is at every TV taping, even though he stays away from being in front of the camera. Regal meets with talent after matches to give advice, and it's reported that his goal is to make superstars and matches look stronger and more realistic from an in-ring perspective. From suggestions on how to improve selling to notes about things as common as lockups and reversals, Regal has a wealth of knowledge and will continue to influence WWE's future despite not being part of creative.